my goal here today, for you to immediately leave this room and know exactly what you need to do to retain your best employees. Earlier, they showed a video about the tornado. For my entire life, I have dreamt of having a family. I grew up without a mom, and my dad left whenever I was 13 years old. I've been on my own ever since. All of those years, I was dreaming of having exactly what I have today. I have 4 babies. I have a 10-year-old, 8-year-old, 5-year-old, and 1-year-old little girl. I am living out my dream in multiple ways, and I don't take that for granted one bit. I met my husband when I was 15, and so we've been together 13 years, 14 years. You all didn't hire me to do math. You hired me to talk leadership. We will do that. Joe and I, we're at home on December 10th. Actually, I had been at home all day, but with 1 million people in the house, inevitably someone is sick. I mean, you name it, something happened. So on December 10th, I was at home with my son Lincoln, who had been sick. So all day, I'm helping take care of him, and I'm getting my work done. It had been an exhausting day. Has anybody been there before? I'm the only parent who has ever. Okay, I see the head shaking, hands raising. When my husband comes home that night from work, all the kids get home, we get them settled. The first thing I'm ready to do is take a break. So in small town Princeton, Kentucky, there's one place to go at about 9:30 at night, and that's Walmart. So I'm thinking, I'm going to go to Walmart, walk around, take my time, and just breathe for a little while. I'm out. I'm there for a little while. I go to Sonic, and I get a drink, and I remember as I'm rolling up my window at Sonic, there was a girl there. December 10th, wind was already blowing. People had been talking about the storm all day. I remember as I was rolling up my window, the girl handing me my drink said, "Be safe out there." And it reminded me of the movie Twister. And I thought, this is eerie. Roll that window up. I drove off, not thinking anything about it. My friend, my very best friend, her name is Megan. She is not a meteorologist, but she has a barometer at her house, and if we ever want to know what the weather is going to be, she's my girl. She had been texting all day in a group text that I've silenced because she's always texting about the weather. She's texting all day. You all need to make sure you're safe tonight. You need to make sure that you've got somewhere to go, that you're up and waiting, watching the radar, listening to the alarm. And then when I got home at about 9:30, 9:45, I went to sleep. I had heard these warnings all day about these storms, these tornadoes. Around 8 or 8:30, something had happened around Cadiz, a town about 30 minutes away from me. But I just thought, based on my own experience, 30 plus years, 3 decades, which is forever, that a tornado's never happened here. It's not going to happen tonight. So I have all my babies asleep, and I'm asleep. At about 10:07, my husband gets a call. His phone flashes in the middle of the night, and as a mom of 4, it's the smallest thing that'll wake you up. I see his phone flashing, and he quickly picks it up, and I can hear the person talking on the other end of the line because they're screaming. It was my friend Megan. She didn't call me because she knew my phone was on silent by now. I was trying to get some rest, but she called Joe. She's on the phone, and I hear her say, "You've got to go now. Now, if you can get here, come here. It's coming straight towards us. You have to go now." And immediately, before Joe could even hang up the phone with her, I knew this is serious. I have cold chills even now. So I get out of bed and I run into my boys' room. And I take Lincoln, who is my 8-year-old, and I pick him up by his shoulders and I stand him up in the room and I say, "Lincoln, go get in the car. There's a tornado." And he takes off. I go get Duke. I do the same thing. Actually, I put Duke on my hip and I start running. My 5-year-old cinder block boy, as big wide as he is tall. I'm holding him and I run into the bedroom. I scoop Willow, my oldest kid, up, stand her up, wake her up. And I say, "Willow, run to the car. There's a tornado." Our plan is to drive 2 miles towards the south end of town to Megan's house because she had a basement. Joe, when I turn the corner from the girls' room, I see Joe. I remember he took a puff of his inhaler because we were rushing. He has asthma. He took a puff of his inhaler. I remember him grabbing Willow's inhaler, and he picks up our baby Holt, our 1-year-old baby Holt. And Joe and I, we run straight through the front living room, kids in our arms, and we'd go through and sit in our car in the garage. We're turning up the garage door. Joe's driving in the front. I'm in the back holding Duke, and I turn around and look, and there's only 4 of us in the car. But there's 6 of us in the family. It's 10:07. By this time, had to be 10:09, maybe 10:10. I run back into the house, putting my 5-year-old down. Joe had handed me the infant so he could drive. I run back in the house, and Willow and Lincoln were chilling on the couch, laying down like, I'm losing it at this point. Get in the car. A tornado is coming. And both of them say, I thought you were kidding. We run into the car. In my SUV, the windows are totally blacked out. Not because I'm so cool, but because I don't want to hear my kids crying that the sun's in their eyes. But you can't see out of the back doors. If you're inside and it's dark outside, you can't see out. So I'm in the back. Husband up front, 1 kid up front, the rest of us in the back. We take off out of Cantrell Drive, the name of our street, and we turn left, going towards south of town. It is dark. It begins raining. We can hear the storm sirens going in town. And as we're driving, we only have 2 miles to go. It starts hailing. And my husband, Joe, he and I, in 13 years, had never been through an experience of this. I can't see what he's saying, and it's dead quiet in our car. And he just says, Alyson. And we drive further, and he just says, Alyson. I didn't know, thank goodness, I didn't know why he was saying my name. We get 2 miles down the road. We turn to go into our friend's house. And as we are turning in their driveway, the roof comes up over our vehicle and flies over. I couldn't see it. My husband said, everybody get down. And with all 115 pounds of my body, I laid on top of my babies in the back of that SUV just thinking, please, Lord, don't let anything happen to these kids. This is all I've dreamed about. Even more than that, I thought, Alyson, you are the leader of this family. You should have saw this coming. There were warning signs. People told you what was going to happen, and you did nothing. Now look where you are. And not only look where you are, but look where your babies are. It calmed down for just a minute, and we ran all of these kids inside to the basement of my friend Megan's house. It took a couple of hours for us to realize what happened. The first time we knew, okay, this is worse than we thought, is someone came driving up the driveway again. Except this time there were no lights to their vehicle. There was no top on their truck anymore. They were sitting in the seats and we could see them. They rushed into the house. We couldn't see who it was because it was still raining so hard. And they are covered in blood and glass because their home had been completely wiped out. They had broken bones. They had pieces of their hair that had been ripped out by the destruction. Then we knew, okay, this is worse than we thought. Looking back, we looked at the timestamps. Joe and I very well may have been, Joe specifically, the last people to see dozens and dozens of houses standing on South Jefferson Street in Princeton. When Joe was in the car saying, Alyson, what he saw was this tornado. He said it wasn't even a V. It was almost like just this gray cloud that came down. And he said, Alyson, every time the lightning would flash, it got closer. I didn't know if I should keep going or turn around. And I didn't want you to know what I was seeing. What I know is that we're in situations that we're not prepared for. We make decisions that might not be in our best interest. What we're going to talk about today is employee retention. How do you keep your best employees? Because there are warning signs that they may be leaving. And you all are the leaders. I heard the warnings, but I did not heed the warnings. I'm going to share the warnings with you.